Have you ever felt like the world is just too loud? Like every day you're bombarded with information, opinions, decisions, and demands that pull you in 100 different directions until you can't even hear your own thoughts? You scroll, you swipe, you reply, you react, but somewhere deep inside, you sense something's off, something's missing. And maybe, just maybe, the thing you've been searching for isn't something new. It's something ancient, something we've lost in the noise. Not a productivity hack, not a life coach slogan, but something deeper. Not the kind that happens when everyone leaves the room, but the kind you choose, the kind of silence practiced by sages, monks, warriors, and philosophers for thousands of years. A forgotten principle, one that could fix the chaos within. Now I know what you're thinking. Silence? That's it? That's your big idea? But here's what no one tells you. Silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's the presence of something greater. In a world where everyone's shouting, the one who chooses silence voluntarily, deliberately, becomes a force of gravity, and yet most of us run from it. We fill every moment with background noise, music, podcasts, TikToks, the TV on in the background while we cook. Even when we're alone, we're not really alone. We're with a crowd, in our heads. Why are we so afraid of silence? Because silence exposes us. It holds up a mirror to the chaos we've buried under noise, the fears we avoid, the questions we don't want to ask, the truths we pretend aren't there. But here's the paradox. When you stop running from that silence, it begins to heal you. Ancient traditions understood this. The Stoics practiced silence to strengthen their inner discipline. Buddhist monks take vows of silence not to disconnect, but to deepen their connection to life. Indigenous shamans enter silence to hear the messages the world is whispering, and in medieval Europe, mystics sought divine wisdom not through speech, but stillness. They weren't escaping reality, they were entering it more fully than most of us ever do. But what can this principle do for you? Right now, in your modern life, everything. Because silence doesn't just bring peace, it brings clarity. It makes space, and in that space, you find yourself. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat for 5 minutes without doing anything? No phone, no music, no talking, no planning, no reacting, just sitting. If that sounds unbearable, then it's probably exactly what you need. You see, in silence, we begin to hear again. Not the noise of the world, but the deeper voice underneath. Our intuition, our conscience, our clarity. Silence is where your mind resets. It's where the storm settles and the mud begins to sink to the bottom. And suddenly, the water is clear again. And what's incredible is this. You don't need to go to a monastery. You don't need to delete your apps, move to the mountains, or become a monk. You just need to pause. 10 minutes. Each day. That's it. 10 minutes of voluntary silence can change the direction of your life. Because when you stop filling every space with stimulation, you begin to notice something profound. Your thoughts are not you. Your emotions are not you. The chaos around you does not need to become the chaos within you. And suddenly, you start responding instead of reacting. You pause before you speak. You observe instead of judging. You listen, not just to others, but to yourself. And that changes everything. But here's the twist. Silence isn't just about you. It also changes how others see you. This is where most people get it wrong. They think silence makes them invisible, weak, passive. But in reality, it does the opposite. In a room full of noise, the silent person commands attention, not because they dominate the conversation, but because they don't have to. We've all experienced it. The person who doesn't speak often, but when they do, everyone listens. Why? Because their words carry weight. Because they've learned that not everything needs to be said. Because they've mastered the art of presence over performance. That's the power of restraint, of knowing when not to speak, of letting silence do the heavy lifting. And don't misunderstand, this isn't about being passive, it's about being deliberate. It's about choosing when to speak and when to be still. Because sometimes, silence is the most powerful message you can deliver. It makes people lean in. It creates mystery. It invites reflection. And it flips the power dynamic in any conversation. Think about it. How many arguments have you escalated because you had to get the last word? How many things have you said that you later regretted? How many moments of beauty did you miss because you were too busy filling the air? Silence prevents those regrets. It gives you time. It gives you choice. It gives you power. As Lao Tzu once said, silence is a source of great strength. But the hardest part? It's not finding silence. It's learning to be okay with it. Because when you get quiet, everything you've buried starts to rise. Insecurities, old wounds, fears, shame. That's why most people run from silence, because it's uncomfortable, but comfort doesn't transform you, courage does. And if you can sit in that discomfort, even for a moment, you'll discover a deeper kind of strength. One that doesn't come from controlling others, but from mastering yourself. Imagine this. You start your day not with notifications, but with stillness. You end your evening not with scrolling, but with reflection. You go into conversations not to win, but to understand. You walk through life not in a rush, but with presence. This isn't a fantasy. It's a practice. It's a principle, and it works. So here's my challenge to you. For the next 7 days, give yourself 10 minutes of voluntary silence each day. No distractions, no speaking, just sit, breathe, observe. Let the silence show you who you are, and then come back. Tell us what you discovered. Share it in the comments, because your journey might just inspire someone else to begin theirs. And if this video spoke to something inside you, if it reminded you of something you didn't even know you were missing, then give it a like. Share it with someone who's drowning in noise, and subscribe, because every week we explore ancient tools for modern peace. And before you go, I want to leave you with one final thought. In the end, what shapes your life is not how loud you were. It's how deeply you listened. It's not how much you said. It's what you understood. The wisest among us have always known. True power isn't in the noise. It's in the silence we choose. So, what will you do with your silence? Will you run from it, or finally listen?